James Potter. FrostFall Mountains. Written by James Pullen. 2025. Chapter 1. Echoes of the Sunstone. The last whispers of the sunburned sands clung to James Potter's boots, a gritty reminder of their recent triumph. The Sunstone of Sol, now a pulsating beacon of warmth nestled safely within a charmed pouch around his neck, felt lighter than air, yet its immense power hummed against his skin, a constant, low thrum that seemed to synchronize with his own heartbeat. Beside him, Lily Evans adjusted her scarlet scarf, a vibrant splash of color against the crisp, clear sky. Her fiery hair, often tamed by the desert's heat, now danced freely in the gentle, biting wind that carried the scent of distant ice. Her emerald eyes, still sparkling with the afterglow of their desert adventure, scanned the looming peaks with a blend of apprehension and excitement. "I still can't believe we pulled it off," Calibar said, his voice a low whistle of disbelief, punctuated by a dramatic shiver. His red hair, finally free of sand, was a chaotic halo around his freckled face, and his thin robes, once designed for arid heat, now seemed woefully inadequate against the encroaching cold. "Though I'm not complaining about the change in temperature. I was starting to sprout cactuses in my ears, I swear. And the amount of sand in my socks. It was a profound experience, truly." He stamped his feet, attempting to coax some warmth back into his extremities. Astra, ever methodical, consulted a fresh, unfrayed map, its parchment crisp in the cold air, her glasses perched on her nose as she meticulously traced lines with a slender finger. Unlike the sunburned sands, the air here was sharp, clean, carrying the potent scent of pine and something else, a deep, almost metallic cold, raw and ancient. The headmaster's instructions were quite clear, she stated, her voice precise, cutting through Calibar's theatrics. The Sunstone's energy must be stabilized in a location of extreme elemental opposition. The FrostFall Mountains, with their ancient ice magic, are the ideal counterpoint, a perfect energetic foil to the Sunstone's inherent warmth. Her gaze swept over the jagged peaks that now loomed before them, their summits perpetually cloaked in snow and ice, even in the height of summer, their formidable forms piercing the pale sky like colossal, crystalline fangs. They were a stark, formidable contrast to the relentless, burning heat they had just endured, a world forged of fire replaced by one carved from ice. Their previous journey, the harrowing retrieval of the Sunstone, had tested them in ways they hadn't imagined. They had outwitted an ancient guardian whose riddles twisted logic, navigated a shifting labyrinth within the very heart of the desert, and faced down elemental forces that had threatened to consume them. The exhilaration of victory was still fresh, a bright ember in their memories, but a new, formidable challenge now lay before them, cold and uncompromising. Headmaster Alatar, with his usual knowing twinkle in his ancient eyes, had emphasized the delicacy of this task. The Sunstone, while powerful beyond measure, was also volatile. Its unrestrained energy could devastate entire landscapes if not properly contained and balanced, much like an untamed hurricane or a simmering volcano. Their mission was not merely to stabilize it, but to usher in a new era of harmony between opposing forces. As they ascended the lower slopes, the air grew noticeably colder with every step, biting at exposed skin, painting their cheeks a rosy red. Sparse, resilient pines clung to the rocky terrain, their branches already laden with fresh, powdery snow, their needles dark green against the white. The occasional satisfying crunch of their boots on icy patches replaced the familiar grit of sand. Far below, the sunburned sands shimmered in the distance, a golden, hazy memory that felt light years away. Here, the world was painted in stark shades of white and gray, silver and blue, the profound silence broken only by the whisper of the wind through the crags and the occasional, distant, haunting cry of an unseen, mountain-dwelling creature. Suddenly, James felt a strange, undeniable pull, a subtle resonance from the Sunstone within his pouch. It wasn't unpleasant, but it was distinct, a faint, growing hum against his ribs, like a living thing stirring. He looked up, his emerald eyes scanning the rugged peaks, a sense of deep foreboding and thrilling anticipation blossoming in his chest. "Do you feel that?" Lily murmured, her hand instinctively going to her own wand, her gaze sharp and focused. "The air, it's different, not just cold, but charged." Calibar's teeth began to chatter uncontrollably, despite Lily's earlier warming charm. "Different, it's freezing. I feel like my eyebrows are trying to make a break for it and migrate south. My fingers are numb, and I can't feel my ears." Astra, however, had stopped dead in her tracks, her attention fixed on a particular point on her map, her brow furrowed in intense concentration, a flicker of profound realization crossing her face. "The ley lines here are incredibly strong," she noted, more to herself than to them, her voice barely audible over the increasing wind. "And unstable. The ancient ice magic is far more potent than the archives suggested. It's almost sentient." She looked up, her piercing gaze meeting James's, a grim determination in their depths. "We need to be extremely careful. The FrostFall mountains aren't just cold, they're alive with an elemental force that could react unpredictably with the sunstone. Like mixing fire and liquid nitrogen without proper containment." As if on cue, a sudden, sharp gust of wind swept down from the peaks, carrying with it a furious flurry of crystalline snow that stung their faces like tiny needles. The air seemed to crackle with raw energy, and for a fleeting moment, James thought he saw faint, shimmering lights dancing within the swirling snow, like distant, ethereal guardians stirring from a long, deep slumber, watching their approach with ancient, unblinking eyes. The FrostFall mountains loomed, a silent, majestic challenge, their secrets waiting to be unveiled. Their journey had truly begun anew, trading the fiery heart of the desert for the frozen, formidable embrace of ancient, living magic. Chapter 2. The Whispering Ice. The climb into the heart of the FrostFall mountains was relentless, a grueling test of their physical and magical endurance. Each step was a battle against the steep incline, the treacherous, unseen patches of black ice hidden beneath a thin layer of snow, and the ever-present, biting cold that seemed to seep into their very bones, regardless of their warming charms. Their breath plumed in frosty clouds before them, hanging in the air for a moment before dissipating, and their faces were chapped and red from the relentless, abrasive wind. James, drawing on his inherent resilience and the deep well of courage within him, pushed onward, the sunstone's warmth a subtle but persistent comfort against the pervasive chill, a small, internal sun in a world of ice. Lily, despite the obvious physical strain and the exhaustion etched on her features, moved with a surprising grace, her movements fluid and precise as she navigated the icy paths, her scarlet scarf a vivid streak against the monochrome landscape. She effortlessly conjured a more potent warming charm for Calibar, who looked perpetually on the verge of turning into a human icicle, his lips tinged blue. "Thanks, Lily," Calibar chattered, rubbing his hands together vigorously, attempting to restore some feeling. "I swear, my toes are planning a full-blown rebellion. Any minute now, they're going to declare independence and march right off this mountain. My nose feels like a block of ice, and I'm pretty sure my teeth have fused together." He stamped his feet with renewed vigor, a desperate dance against the cold. Astra, however, seemed to transcend such trivial discomforts in her intellectual pursuit. She was entirely captivated by the bizarre, intricate formations of ice that adorned the sheer mountain face, glittering like colossal, frozen jewels. "Remarkable," she whispered, her voice filled with a scholarly awe, as she reached out a gloved hand to touch a shimmering, crystalline wall, its surface colder than anything she had ever felt. The structure, the purity, the crystalline lattices. It's almost as if the ice itself holds memories, ancient knowledge etched into its very being. A vast, frozen library. She pulled out a small, specialized magnifying glass, examining the ice with an intense focus that belied the perilous surroundings. As they ascended higher, the sparse, hardy pines that had marked the lower slopes gave way entirely to a raw, exposed landscape of jagged rock and glistening, ancient glaciers, their surfaces reflecting the pale light like polished mirrors. The sky, a brilliant, almost painful blue, seemed closer here, thinner, more vast, the sun a distant, cold orb that offered little warmth. The silence was profound, almost suffocating, broken only by the rhythmic crunch of their boots on the packed snow, the occasional deep, resonant creak of shifting ice as the mountain groaned, and the whisper of the wind, which now sounded less like a breeze and more like a hushed, ancient voice. But beneath that silence, James felt a different kind of sound, a subtle, almost imperceptible hum, a profound vibration that seemed to emanate from the very ice around them, from the depths of the mountain itself. They reached a narrow pass, a jagged gash in the mountain, the wind howling through it like a mournful, tormented spirit, carrying stinging particles of ice. On one side, a sheer, unyielding cliff face rose hundreds of feet into the sky. On the other, a perilous, dizzying drop into a snow-filled ravine, its bottom lost in swirling mists. The path itself was a treacherous sheet of black ice, deceptively smooth and utterly unforgiving. "Careful here," James warned, drawing his wand and holding it ready, a soft light emanating from its tip. A simple slip could be disastrous. One wrong step and we could be falling for a very long time. As if on cue, a low, guttural growl echoed from somewhere above them, a sound that seemed to vibrate through the very ice beneath their feet, making their teeth ache. The air grew heavy, thick with an unseen presence, and the faint shimmering lights James had seen earlier intensified, coalescing into discernible, menacing forms within the swirling snow, growing more distinct with every passing second. "What was that?" Calibar whispered, his eyes wide with genuine terror, his wand shaking slightly in his hand. Astra's hand flew to her mouth, her voice barely a breath, laced with a mix of academic fascination and distinct fear. "Ice wraiths," she murmured, a single word heavy with ancient lore. "Ancient guardians, born of the deepest, coldest parts of the mountains, bound here by powerful, forgotten magic. They feed on warmth and life force. They are drawn to the sunstone's energy, seeking to extinguish it." Out of the swirling snow, two spectral figures began to coalesce fully, their forms shimmering and translucent, composed entirely of jagged shards of ice and swirling, frigid mist. Their eyes glowed with an eerie, cold blue light, like frozen embers, and their hands, tipped with razor-sharp icicles, reached out towards them, skeletal and menacing. A palpable wave of intense, numbing cold washed over the group, a cold that seemed to sink into their very bones, threatening to extinguish the warmth of their magic, to freeze their very souls. "Protega," James roared, his voice cutting through the shriek of the wind, a shimmering shield of golden light erupting from his wand, momentarily deflecting the wraiths' advance. But the cold they radiated was immense, an oppressive force, and the shield flickered and groaned under the sustained assault, showing signs of strain. Lily's spell, a fiery blast of pure conjured flame, struck one of the wraiths squarely, causing it to momentarily recoil, hissing like steam on hot iron, its icy form momentarily disrupted. But it quickly reformed, its eerie blue eyes fixed on her with renewed malevolence, drawn by her powerful magical signature. Calibar, despite his obvious terror, conjured a series of blinding light charms, releasing them in quick succession, hoping to disorient the ethereal creatures. The wraiths recoiled slightly, their forms flickering and shimmering as if in pain, but they pressed on, relentless, drawn by the warmth of their living presence, like moths to a flame, but with malicious intent. Astra, however, was already consulting her map, her eyes darting between the ancient script etched on the parchment and the menacing, swirling figures. "They are vulnerable to focused light and heat," she shouted over the escalating shriek of the wind, her voice strained. "But only if it's sustained. Their magic draws strength from the cold around them. They dissipate when their elemental balance is broken." James felt the sunstone thrumming wildly against his chest, its warmth suddenly amplified, almost burning, a concentrated point of heat against the pervasive cold. He had an idea, a risky one, but perhaps their only chance of survival, a desperate gamble. He held the sunstone aloft, its golden light blazing, cutting through the icy gloom of the pass, illuminating the wraiths, translucent forms with a radiant glow. "Distract them," James yelled, his voice tight with strain, pushing against the mental pressure of wielding the sunstone. "I have an idea. Keep them busy." Lily and Calibar, understanding the urgency and desperation in his voice, unleashed a volley of their most potent fire and light spells, creating a dazzling, chaotic display that drew the wraiths' full attention, forcing them to dodge and weave. James closed his eyes for a brief moment, focusing intensely on the sunstone, on the immense, life-giving heat it contained, on its fundamental opposition to the cold around them. He envisioned its power, not as a destructive force, but as a cleansing, warming light, a pure, benevolent energy. With a deep breath, he unleashed a torrent of golden energy from his wand, a wide, sweeping beam of pure, concentrated warmth that struck the nearest ice wraith. The creature shrieked, a high-pitched, agonizing sound like cracking glaciers, its form writhing and distorting as the golden light enveloped it. Slowly, painfully, it began to dissipate, dissolving into a shimmering mist that vanished into the cold air, leaving behind only the faintest wisp of frost. The second wraith, seeing its companion vanish in such a spectacular display, recoiled, its eerie icy eyes narrowed in what looked like genuine fear, its form flickering violently. With another powerful, sustained blast from James's wand, focused and unwavering, it too dissolved into nothingness, leaving nothing but a lingering, phantom chill in the air and a faint scent of ozone. Silence fell once more, heavy and profound, broken only by their ragged breathing. The pass was clear, but the group was trembling, partly from the lingering cold, partly from the sheer adrenaline coursing through their veins. James lowered the sunstone, its light still faintly pulsing, its warmth still comforting. "That was a close one," Calibar said, his teeth still chattering uncontrollably, though a wide, shaky grin was spreading across his face. "Really, truly close. I thought we were toast. Frozen, spectral toast." Lily looked at James, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe, concern, and pride. "James, that was incredible. But are you all right? The sunstone, you used so much of its power." James nodded, feeling a slight, satisfying drain of magical energy, but also a surge of exhilaration and newfound understanding. "I'm fine. The sunstone," it responded. "It's even more powerful, more attuned to me, than we thought. It seems to have a will of its own, almost." He looked at the vast, silent, imposing mountains stretching before them, their peaks shrouded in mystery. "But these mountains hold more than just cold. They hold ancient power, and we've only just scratched the surface of what they're capable of." Astra nodded, her expression serious, her eyes gleaming with renewed intellectual curiosity. "Indeed, we must find the ancient caldera, as Headmaster Alatar instructed. It's the only place where the sunstone's energy can be safely balanced, where the elemental forces can be harmonized. But the path will not be easy. The mountains will test us at every turn, not just physically, but mentally and magically. They are guardians themselves." Chapter 3. The Frozen Labyrinth and the Amulet of Echoes. The path beyond the pass wound deeper into the mountains, leading them into a vast, natural labyrinth formed by towering ice formations and snowdrifts that rose like frozen waves. The air here was even colder, stiller, the light filtering through the ice a pale, ethereal blue. It was a world of hushed echoes and glittering silence, a place where sound itself seemed muffled. "This is unsettling," Calibar muttered, his voice barely a whisper, echoing faintly off the ice walls. "It's too quiet, like the mountain is holding its breath." He pulled his cloak tighter, his breath misting before him. Lily kept her wand out, a faint warmth emanating from its tip. Her senses were on high alert, the silence of the labyrinth feeling more menacing than any growl. "Stay close, everyone. We don't know what lies around the next turn." Astra, meanwhile, was fascinated. She touched the ice walls, her gloved fingers tracing patterns. "These formations, they appear natural, yet there's a subtle geometric precision to them. Almost as if they were sculpted by a guiding hand, or perhaps, guided magic." She adjusted her glasses, peering into a particularly deep crevice. "The ley lines here are incredibly intricate. They twist and intersect in ways I've never seen before. It's almost as if they are designed to mislead." As they ventured deeper, the labyrinth proved to be a master of deception. Paths that seemed straightforward suddenly ended in sheer ice walls, forcing them to backtrack. Illusory passages shimmered at the edges of their vision, tempting them into dead ends. James used his internal sense of the sunstone's pull, trying to gauge the direction of the caldera, but the conflicting magical currents of the labyrinth made it difficult to discern a clear path. Suddenly, from behind a towering spire of ice, a group. Amulet's revelation and the path forward. The battle with the frost sentinels left the group battered but victorious. The icy guardians lay scattered across the labyrinth, their forms slowly melting back into the ice, their essence returning to the mountain. James caught his breath, his chest heaving, as he surveyed the aftermath. The sunstone, still pulsing against his skin, seemed to resonate with the energy of the fallen guardians, its light flickering in a strange, rhythmic pattern. Lily leaned against a towering ice spire, her scarlet scarf now tattered and stained with frost. "That was intense," she panted, her breath misting in the frigid air. "These sentinels were unlike anything we've faced before. Their magic was deeply rooted in the ice itself." Calibar nodded, his freckled face pale, his eyes wide with lingering fear. "I've heard tales of them, but I never imagined. They were like extensions of the mountain itself, as if the ice was fighting back through them." Astra, her glasses askew, was already poring over her map, her brow furrowed in deep concentration. The ancient caldera should be nearby, she murmured, more to herself than to the group. The ley lines are converging here, but the labyrinth's illusions are making it difficult to pinpoint the exact location. Suddenly, the sunstone began to pulse more intensely, its warmth spreading across James's chest like a wave. He looked down, his eyes widening as the amulet's light intensified, casting eerie, shifting shadows on the ice walls. The patterns on the ice began to shift and change, almost as if responding to the sunstone's energy. "Look," James exclaimed, pointing to the ice walls. "The labyrinth. It's changing. The sunstone is interacting with the ice." As if on cue, the ice walls began to shimmer and shift, revealing hidden passages and paths that had been obscured by the illusions. The labyrinth, once a confusing maze, now seemed to unfold before them, guiding them towards a single, central point. "Astra, is this?" Lily began, her voice filled with wonder. Astra nodded, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Yes, I believe so. The sunstone is aligning with the ley lines, revealing the true path. It's almost as if the mountain is acknowledging its presence, accepting it as a part of its own magic." James felt a surge of determination, a deep-seated conviction that they were on the right path. "Then we follow it," he said, his voice steady and resolute. "The caldera awaits." The group moved forward, the sunstone's light guiding them through the labyrinth, its pulsing rhythm a beacon in the icy gloom. The paths were no longer deceptive, but clear and true, leading them deeper into the heart of the mountain. The air grew colder still, the silence more profound, but there was a sense of purpose, a feeling that they were destined to reach their goal. As they rounded a final bend, they found themselves standing before a vast, circular chamber, its walls carved from ancient, translucent ice. At the center of the chamber stood a massive, steaming pool of water, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly light. The air was thick with mist, and the chamber resonated with a deep, ancient hum, a sound that seemed to emanate from the very core of the mountain. "This is it," Astra whispered, her voice barely audible over the chamber's resonant hum. "The ancient caldera, the place where the sunstone's energy can be balanced." James stepped forward, the sunstone pulsing in his hand, its light casting a warm, golden glow across the chamber. He approached the pool, feeling the heat of the sunstone intensify, as if it was responding to the ancient magic of the place. He knelt at the edge of the pool, his reflection shimmering on its surface, and slowly, deliberately, he lowered the sunstone into the water. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sudden, explosive burst of light, the pool erupted in a dazzling display of color and energy. The water churned and boiled, its surface shifting and changing, forming intricate, swirling patterns that seemed to dance and weave with the sunstone's energy. The chamber resonated with a deep, harmonious chord, a sound that seemed to vibrate through their very bones, a symphony of elemental forces coming into balance. As the display subsided, the pool returned to its previous state, its surface once more shimmering with an otherworldly light. The sunstone, now cooled and dimmed, floated gently on the water's surface, its energy harmonized with the ancient magic of the caldera. James reached out, carefully retrieving the sunstone, its light now a soft, steady pulse. He felt a profound sense of accomplishment, a deep-seated satisfaction that they had achieved their goal. The sunstone was stable, its energy balanced, and a new era of harmony between opposing forces was ushered in. Lily and Calibar approached, their faces a mix of awe and relief. "You did it, James," Lily said, her voice filled with pride and admiration. "You balanced the sunstone's energy. It's incredible." Calibar nodded, a wide, shaky grin spreading across his face. "And to think, we started this journey in the sunburned sands. Who would have thought we'd end up here, in the heart of the FrostFall Mountains, balancing the very forces of nature?" Astra, ever the scholar, was already jotting down notes, her eyes gleaming with intellectual curiosity. "This is a monumental discovery," she said, her voice filled with excitement. The sunstone's energy, harmonized with the ancient ice magic of the caldera, could lead to unprecedented advancements in magical research. The possibilities are endless. James looked out at the vast, silent expanse of the FrostFall Mountains, their peaks shrouded in mystery and magic. He felt a deep sense of connection to the land, a profound respect for its ancient power. The journey had been arduous, filled with challenges and dangers, but it had also been a journey of discovery, of growth, and of friendship. As they prepared to leave the chamber, James paused, turning to his companions. "We've achieved something extraordinary here," he said, his voice filled with conviction. "But this is just the beginning. The magic of the FrostFall Mountains is vast and ancient, and there is still so much to explore, so much to learn. Let's return to Hogwarts and share our findings. Let's inspire a new generation of magic users to seek out the wonders of the world, to embrace the unknown, and to strive for harmony and balance in all things." With a final, reverent glance at the ancient caldera, the group made their way back through the labyrinth, their hearts filled with a newfound sense of purpose and wonder. The FrostFall Mountains had tested them, challenged them, and ultimately, revealed to them the profound beauty and power of ancient magic. And as they descended, the sun began to set, casting the peaks in a warm, golden light, a promise of new adventures to come. Chapter 5. The Return and the Legacy. The descent from the FrostFall Mountains was a stark contrast to their ascent. The air grew warmer with each step, the biting cold slowly giving way to a gentle, refreshing breeze. The stark, monochrome landscape of ice and snow gradually transformed into a lush, verdant tapestry of greens and golds, as if nature itself was celebrating their triumph. James led the way, the sunstone now a soft, comforting glow around his neck, its energy harmonized and stable. He felt a deep sense of peace, a quiet contentment that came from knowing they had accomplished something truly extraordinary. Beside him, Lily walked with a newfound grace, her scarlet scarf billowing in the wind, her eyes reflecting the vibrant colors of the changing landscape. Calibar, his freckled face no longer pale from the cold, chattered enthusiastically about their adventures, his voice filled with a mix of awe and relief. Astra, ever the scholar, was deeply engrossed in her notes, her mind already racing with the implications of their discovery and the countless research possibilities it presented. As they reached the foothills, the first signs of civilization began to appear. A distant smoke curl from a chimney, the faint sound of a blacksmith's hammer, the warm, inviting glow of a cottage window. They had left the realm of ancient magic and entered the world of everyday life, but the memories of their journey would forever be etched in their hearts and minds. Upon their return to Hogwarts, Headmaster Alatar greeted them with a knowing twinkle in his eye and a warm, proud smile. "Well done, my young friends," he said, his voice resonant with ancient wisdom. "You have not only stabilized the sunstone but also uncovered a profound truth about the harmony of elemental forces. Your journey has paved the way for a new era of magical understanding and cooperation." The news of their achievements spread like wildfire through the halls of Hogwarts, inspiring awe and admiration from students and professors alike. James, Lily, Calibar, and Astra were hailed as heroes, their names whispered in hushed tones of reverence. They were invited to share their experiences in classrooms, their stories captivating the imaginations of young minds and sparking a renewed interest in the mysteries of the magical world. In the days that followed, James found himself often wandering the grounds of Hogwarts, the sunstone's gentle pulse a constant reminder of their adventure. He would sit by the lake, watching the sun set over the castle, the golden light dancing on the water's surface, and reflect on the profound lessons they had learned. The FrostFall Mountains had taught them not only about the power of ancient magic but also about the importance of unity, resilience, and the unbreakable bonds of friendship. Lily, meanwhile, threw herself into her studies with renewed vigor, her mind buzzing with ideas and theories inspired by their journey. She spent countless hours in the library, poring over ancient tomes and scrolls, seeking to uncover more secrets about the sunstone and the ancient magic of the FrostFall Mountains. Her passion was infectious, and soon, she found herself surrounded by a group of eager students, all eager to learn from her experiences and insights. Calibar, ever the prankster, found a new outlet for his creativity, using his magical skills to create elaborate, ice-themed illusions that delighted and amazed his fellow students. His antics brought laughter and joy to the castle, a welcome respite from the rigors of their studies, and his popularity soared. Astra, true to her nature, delved deep into the academic world, her research on the sunstone and the FrostFall Mountains earning her numerous accolades and invitations to present her findings at prestigious magical conferences. Her work was groundbreaking, offering new insights into the nature of elemental magic and its potential applications in modern magical society. As the seasons changed and the years passed, the legacy of James, Lily, Calibar, and Astra's journey lived on. Their story became a legend, a tale told to new generations of Hogwarts students, inspiring them to seek out their own adventures and uncover the wonders of the magical world. The Sunstone, now a symbol of harmony and balance, was displayed proudly in the castle's great hall, a constant reminder of the power of friendship, courage, and the unyielding spirit of discovery. And so, the FrostFall Mountains, once a distant, mysterious land, became forever intertwined with the hearts and minds of those who dared to venture into their icy embrace, their ancient magic forever etched in the annals of magical history. The journey of James Potter and his friends had not only changed the course of magical events but had also left an indelible mark on the very fabric of their world, a testament to the enduring power of courage, friendship, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. The Echoes of Time and the Guardians of the Frost. The FrostFall Mountains, now a place of both reverence and mystery, held secrets that extended far beyond the ancient caldera. As the years passed, the tales of James, Lily, Calibar, and Astra's adventure became legend, inspiring countless others to seek out the ancient magic hidden within the icy peaks. Among those drawn to the mountains was a new generation of explorers, each with their own unique skills and motivations. Eleanor Blackwood, a brilliant young alchemist, was the first to return to the FrostFall Mountains. Her goal was to study the unique properties of the ice formations, hoping to harness their energy for new magical elixirs. Accompanied by her loyal familiar, a sleek black cat named Midnight, Eleanor ventured deep into the labyrinth, guided by the fading memories of the paths revealed by the Sunstone. As she navigated the treacherous ice passages, Eleanor couldn't help but feel a deep sense of awe and reverence for the ancient magic that permeated every inch of the mountain. The air was thick with an almost palpable energy, and the ice itself seemed to hum with a life of its own. She collected samples of the crystalline formations, each one more breathtaking than the last, their structures unlike anything she had ever encountered. Midnight, ever the curious familiar, began to exhibit strange behavior as they delved deeper into the labyrinth. The cat would often pause, its ears twitching, as if listening to something only it could hear. Eleanor noticed that whenever Midnight reacted this way, the ice around them would shimmer and shift, revealing hidden passages and chambers that had been previously obscured. Intrigued, Eleanor decided to follow Midnight's lead, trusting the cat's instincts. They soon found themselves in a vast, subterranean chamber, its walls adorned with intricate carvings that seemed to dance and shift in the flickering light of Eleanor's wand. The carvings depicted scenes of ancient battles, of powerful magic users wielding elemental forces, and of a great caldera at the heart of the mountain, pulsing with raw, untamed energy. As Eleanor studied the carvings, she realized that they were not merely decorative but held a deeper, more profound meaning. The patterns and symbols were a form of ancient runes, each one imbued with powerful magic. She began to decipher them, her alchemical knowledge and intuition guiding her, and slowly, a story began to unfold. The carvings told of a time long past, when the FrostFall Mountains were the seat of a great and powerful magical order. The Guardians of the Frost, as they were known, were masters of ice and snow, their magic woven into the very fabric of the mountain. They were the keepers of the ancient caldera, using its energy to maintain the balance of the elemental forces and protect the world from those who would seek to misuse such power. Eleanor's heart raced as she unraveled the tale. The Guardians had been led by a wise and just ruler, a woman named Alara, whose magic was said to be unparalleled. Under her guidance, the order thrived, their influence spreading far and wide, their name whispered with both awe and fear. But as with all great powers, there came a time of upheaval and strife. A schism within the order led to a great war, pitting brother against brother, sister against sister. The conflict raged for centuries, tearing apart the very foundations of the FrostFall Mountains, and in the end, only a handful of the Guardians remained, their numbers decimated and their power greatly diminished. Alara, in a desperate bid to preserve the ancient magic and prevent it from falling into the wrong hands, sealed the caldera and scattered the Guardians to the four corners of the world. She imbued the ice with powerful illusions and traps, ensuring that only those pure of heart and strong of will could ever hope to find their way to the heart of the mountain once more. Eleanor's breath caught in her throat as she reached the final carving, a depiction of Alara standing atop a towering ice spire, her staff raised to the heavens. Beneath her feet, the mountain trembled, and from the depths of the caldera, a great light erupted, bathing the world in a brilliant, otherworldly glow. It was a moment of both triumph and tragedy, a testament to the enduring power of the Guardians and the sacrifices they had made to protect their legacy. As Eleanor finished deciphering the carvings, she felt a profound sense of connection to the ancient magic that surrounded her. The story of the Guardians resonated deep within her soul, stirring a desire to honor their memory and continue their work. She vowed to unravel the secrets of the FrostFall Mountains, to uncover the truth behind the Guardians' fall, and to ensure that their legacy lived on. With midnight by her side, Eleanor set out to explore the depths of the mountain, guided by the ancient runes and her own burgeoning understanding of the ice magic. She discovered hidden chambers filled with ancient artifacts, each one imbued with powerful enchantments and echoes of the Guardians' mighty deeds. She unearthed scrolls and tomes, their pages yellowed with age, containing knowledge and spells that had been lost to the world for centuries. Among her most significant discoveries was a small, intricately carved amulet, its surface adorned with runes that pulsed with a faint, icy light. As Eleanor held it in her hands, she felt a sudden, intense connection to the ancient magic, as if the amulet itself was reaching out to her, acknowledging her as a worthy successor to the Guardians. The amulet, she soon learned, was a key to unlocking the full potential of the FrostFall Mountains. It was a conduit, a bridge between the ancient magic and the modern world, allowing its wearer to tap into the vast, untamed power of the ice. With it, Eleanor could not only harness the energy of the mountain but also communicate with the lingering echoes of the Guardians, seeking their guidance and wisdom. As she delved deeper into the mysteries of the amulet, Eleanor began to understand the true extent of the Guardians' power and the responsibility that came with wielding such magic. She realized that the balance of the elemental forces was a delicate, precarious thing, and that the actions of even a single individual could have far-reaching consequences. With this newfound understanding, Eleanor set out to forge a new path, one that honored the legacy of the Guardians while also embracing the challenges and opportunities of the modern world. She established a school of magic within the FrostFall Mountains, a place where aspiring magic users could come to learn the ancient arts and harness the power of the ice for the greater good. Under Eleanor's guidance, the school thrived, attracting students from all corners of the magical world. They studied the ancient runes, practiced the intricate spells and charms of the Guardians, and explored the depths of the mountain, uncovering new secrets and wonders with each passing day. Among the students was a young man named Orion, whose natural affinity for ice magic was unparalleled. He was a prodigy, his spells and enchantments surpassing even those of his instructors. Orion was drawn to the amulet, feeling a deep, inexplicable connection to its power, and under Eleanor's tutelage, he began to unlock its full potential. Together, Eleanor and Orion worked to restore the FrostFall Mountains to their former glory, using the ancient magic to heal the wounds of the past and forge a new, brighter future. They rebuilt the crumbling spires and towers, their structures shimmering with newfound life and energy, and they established a council of wise and just leaders, dedicated to maintaining the balance of the elemental forces and protecting the world from those who would seek to disrupt it. As the years passed, the FrostFall Mountains became a beacon of hope and knowledge, a place where the ancient and the modern coexisted in harmony. The legacy of the Guardians lived on, their wisdom and power passed down through the generations, ensuring that their sacred duty would never be forgotten. And so, the echo of time resonated through the icy peaks, a testament to the enduring power of magic and the unbreakable spirit of those who dared to seek out its wonders. The FrostFall Mountains, once a place of mystery and danger, had become a sanctuary, a place where the echoes of the past guided the path to a brighter, more magical future. Chapter 7. The Gathering Storm and the Call to Adventure. As the FrostFall Mountains flourished under Eleanor's guidance, a dark shadow began to creep across the magical world. Whispers of unrest and discord reached even the isolated peaks, carried on the wings of owls and the breaths of weary travelers. The once peaceful balance of elemental forces seemed to be shifting, and with it, the very fabric of magical society began to fray. In the bustling streets of Diagon Alley, tensions ran high as rival magical factions clashed over resources and territory. The Ministry of Magic struggled to maintain order, their efforts often undermined by corrupt officials and power-hungry politicians. Meanwhile, in the distant lands of the Far East, a new and mysterious cult had emerged, their followers preaching a gospel of chaos and destruction, promising untold power to those who would embrace the dark arts. Amidst this growing turmoil, a prophecy began to circulate, spoken of in hushed tones and whispered in secret gatherings. It told of a great upheaval, a cataclysm that would shake the foundations of the magical world and plunge it into an age of darkness and despair. Only a chosen few, those pure of heart and strong of will, would be able to stand against the encroaching shadows and restore balance to the world. Eleanor, ever attuned to the whispers of the ancient magic, felt the first stirrings of the gathering storm. The amulet around her neck pulsed with a restless energy, its runes flickering with an ominous light. She knew that the time had come to pass on the legacy of the Guardians, to find those who would carry the torch of ancient magic into the heart of the coming darkness. With a heavy heart, Eleanor summoned Orion and a select group of her most trusted students, those who had proven themselves worthy of the Guardians' trust. Among them were Lyra, a young seer with a gift for divination and prophecy, Kylam, a skilled alchemist and healer, and Zephyr, a cunning and resourceful tracker, whose knowledge of the magical world was unparalleled. "Gather round, my friends," Eleanor said, her voice steady and resolute. "The time has come for us to embark on a new journey, one that will test the very limits of our power and courage. The magical world stands on the brink of a great upheaval, and it is our duty, as the guardians of the ancient magic, to ensure that the light of hope and balance prevails." The students exchanged glances, their eyes wide with a mix of excitement and trepidation. They had trained for this moment, had dedicated their lives to the study of the ancient arts, and now, the time had come to put their skills to the test. "Our first task," Eleanor continued, "is to seek out the fragments of an ancient artifact, the Staff of Alara. Legend has it that this staff, wielded by the first and greatest of the Guardians, holds the power to control the very elements themselves. With it, we may be able to turn the tide of the coming storm and restore balance to the world." Orion stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with determination. "I will find the Staff of Alara, no matter where it may be hidden. The power of the FrostFall Mountains will guide me, and I will not rest until it is in our hands." Lyra nodded, her voice soft but filled with conviction. "I will use my gifts to seek out the path before us, to foresee the challenges that lie ahead and guide us through the darkness. The visions of the future will be our compass, and we shall not stray from the true course." Kylam, ever the voice of reason, spoke with a calm assurance. "I will tend to our physical and magical well-being, ensuring that we are at our strongest when the time comes to face the shadows. The alchemical arts will be our shield and our sword, and I will not let you down." Zephyr grinned, a mischievous spark in his eye. "And I will be your eyes and ears, your shadow in the night. I will track our enemies and uncover their secrets, ensuring that we are always one step ahead. The magical world holds no secrets from me, and I will use that knowledge to our advantage." Eleanor smiled, her heart swelling with pride and love for her students. "Then it is settled. We shall embark on this quest together, as one, and may the ancient magic of the FrostFall Mountains guide and protect us on our journey. For the light of hope must never be extinguished, and the balance of the world must be preserved, no matter the cost." With a final, solemn nod, the group set out from the FrostFall Mountains, their hearts filled with a mix of anticipation and dread. The road ahead was uncertain, fraught with danger and challenge, but they were united in their purpose, bound by the ancient magic and the sacred duty they had sworn to uphold. As they ventured forth, the amulet around Eleanor's neck pulsed with a steady, reassuring rhythm, a reminder of the power that lay within them and the legacy they were sworn to protect. The gathering storm may have cast a long and ominous shadow, but the light of hope still burned brightly in the hearts of the Guardians, a beacon in the encroaching darkness, guiding them towards a destiny yet unwritten. Chapter 8. The Shadows of Diagon Alley and the Whispers of the Cult. The journey to Diagon Alley was fraught with peril, as the once peaceful magical hub had become a hotbed of tension and discord. Rival factions clashed in the streets, their spells and curses echoing off the ancient cobblestones, while the Ministry of Magic struggled to maintain a semblance of order. The air was thick with an undercurrent of unease, a palpable sense of impending doom that seemed to hang heavy over the city like a shroud. Eleanor and her companions moved through the crowded streets with caution, their senses heightened and their wands at the ready. They knew that they were treading on dangerous ground, that the shadows of Diagon Alley held secrets and dangers that could threaten their very mission. As they made their way to the Leaky Cauldron, a trusted safe house and a hub of information for the magical resistance, they couldn't help but notice the subtle signs of the cult's influence. Symbols etched into the walls, whispers of dark rituals and chaotic magic, and the ever-present feeling of being watched, as if unseen eyes followed their every move. Inside the Leaky Cauldron, The atmosphere was tense but hopeful. Resistance fighters and magical scholars gathered in hushed conversations, sharing information and strategies in the fight against the encroaching darkness. Among them was a man named Silas, a former ministry official who had seen the corruption from within and now dedicated his life to exposing the truth. "Eleanor," Silas greeted her with a nod, his eyes weary but resolute. "It's good to see you. I've been expecting you. The whispers of your coming have reached even these walls." Eleanor returned the nod, her expression grave. "Silas, we need your help. We seek the staff of Alara, and we believe that the cult may have information on its whereabouts. Can you guide us to their stronghold?" Silas leaned in, his voice barely above a whisper. "The cult has taken root in the depths of the ministry itself, their tendrils reaching into every corner of magical society. They are led by a figure known only as the Shadow Weaver, a master of chaos and deception. Their stronghold is hidden beneath the ministry, in a labyrinth of ancient tunnels and forgotten chambers." Orion's eyes narrowed, a determined glint in his gaze. "Then that is where we must go. The staff of Alara will not fall into the hands of such darkness. We will retrieve it, no matter the cost." Lyra, ever the voice of caution, spoke up. "We must be careful. The cult's magic is unpredictable and dangerous. We cannot underestimate their power or their cunning. The future holds many paths, and we must choose the one that leads to the greatest good." Kylam nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I have heard whispers of a potion, a concoction of chaos and shadow, that the cult uses to enhance their dark arts. We must be prepared for such magic, to counter it with our own strength and cunning." Zephyr grinned, a mischievous spark in his eye. "Leave that to me. I will infiltrate their ranks, uncover their secrets, and ensure that we are always one step ahead. The shadows will be our ally, and we shall use them to turn the tide of this battle." Silas smiled, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "You have a plan, then. Good. The time for action is upon us, and the fate of the magical world hangs in the balance. May the ancient magic of the FrostFall Mountains guide and protect you on your quest." With Silas's guidance and the information he provided, Eleanor and her companions set out to infiltrate the ministry, their hearts heavy with the weight of their mission. They knew that the road ahead was treacherous, that the shadows of the cult would seek to engulf them in chaos and despair, but they were united in their purpose, bound by the ancient magic and the sacred duty they had sworn to uphold. As they descended into the depths of the ministry, the air grew colder, the shadows deeper, and the whispers of the cult's dark rituals seemed to echo from every corner. But Eleanor and her companions pressed on, their resolve unshaken, their spirits unbroken, for they were the guardians of the ancient magic, and the light of hope still burned brightly in their hearts, a beacon in the encroaching darkness, guiding them towards a destiny yet unwritten. And so, the stage was set for a battle of epic proportions, a clash of ancient magic and modern chaos, as the guardians of the FrostFall Mountains sought to uncover the secrets of the cult and reclaim the staff of Alara, the key to restoring balance to the world. The shadows of Diagon Alley may have cast a long and ominous shadow, but the light of hope still burned brightly, a testament to the enduring power of magic and the unbreakable spirit of those who dared to seek out its wonders.